Ritual Psychology and Social Values. The records of ritual, the Analects, and numerous Han collections portray Confucius as being deeply concerned with the proper performance of ritual and music. In such works, the description of the attitudes and effect of the performer became the foundation of a ritual psychology in which proper performance was key to reforming desires and beginning to develop moral dispositions. Confucius sought to preserve the Zhou ritual system and theorized about how ritual and music inculcated social roles, limited desires, and transformed character. Many biographies begin their description of his life with a story of Confucius at an early age performing rituals, reflecting accounts and statements that demonstrate his prodigious mastery of ritual and music. The archaeological record shows that one legacy of the Zhou period into which Confucius was born was a system of sumptuary regulations that encoded social status. Another of these legacies was ancestral sacrifice, a means to demonstrate people's reverence for their ancestors, while also providing a way to ask the spirits to assist them or to guarantee them protection from harm. The Analects describes the ritual mastery of Confucius in receiving guests at a noble's home and in carrying out sacrifices. He plays the stone chimes, distinguishes between proper and improper music, and extols and explains the classic of odes to his disciples. This mastery of classical ritual and musical forms is an important reason Confucius said he followed Zhou. While he might alter a detail of a ritual out of frugality, Confucius insists on adherence to the letter of the rites, as when his disciple Zhou sought to substitute another animal for a sheep in a seasonal sacrifice, saying, "Though you care about the sheep, I care about the ritual." It was in large part this adherence to Zhou period cultural forms, or to what Confucius reconstructed them to be, that has led many in the modern period to label him a traditionalist. Where Confucius clearly innovated was in his rationale for performing the rites and music. Historian Yan Buke has argued that the early Confucian Ru tradition began from the office of the music master Yushi, described in the ritual of Zhou Zhuzhou Lai. Yan's view is that since these officials were responsible for teaching the rites, music, and the classic of odes, it was their combined expertise that developed into the particular vocation that shaped the outlook of Confucius. Early discussions of ritual in the Zhou classics often explained ritual in terms of a do-you-up-des view of making offerings to receive benefits. By contrast, early discussions between Confucius and his disciples described benefits of ritual performance that went beyond the propitiation of spirits, rewards from the ancestors, or the maintenance of the social or cosmic order. Instead of emphasizing goods that were external to the performer, these works stressed the value of the associated interior psychological states of the practitioner. In Analects 3.26, Confucius condemns the performance of ritual without reverence Jing. He also condemns views of ritual that focus only on the offerings, or views of music that focus only on the instruments. Passages from the records of ritual explain that Confucius would rather have an excess of reverence than an excess of ritual Tanggong, Shang, and that reverence is the most important aspect of mourning rites Zaji, Jie. This emphasis on the importance of an attitude of reverence became the salient distinction between performing ritual in a rote manner and performing it in the proper effective state. Another passage from the records of ritual says the difference between how an ideal gentleman and a lesser person cares for a parent is that the gentleman is reverent when he does it Fangji cf. Analects 2.7. In contexts concerning both ritual and filial piety Xiao, the effective state behind the action is arguably more important than the action's consequences. As Philip J. Ivanhoe has written, ritual and music are not just an indicator of values in the sense that these examples show, but also an inculcator of them. In this ritual psychology, the performance of ritual and music restricts desires because it alters the performer's affective states and place limits on appetitive desires. The records of ritual illustrates desirable affective states, describing how the Zhou founder King Wen was moved to joy when making offerings to his deceased parents, but then to grief once the ritual ended. A collection associated with the 3rd century BCE philosopher Zhou contains a Confucius quotation that associates different parts of a ruler's day with particular emotions. Entering the ancestral temple to make offerings and maintain a connection to those who are no longer living leads the ruler to reflect on sorrow, while wearing a cap to hear legal cases leads him to reflect on worry gong. These are examples of the way that ritual fosters the development of particular emotional responses, part of a sophisticated understanding of affective states, and the ways that performance channels them in particular directions. More generally, the social conventions implicit in ritual hierarchies restrict people's latitude to pursue their desires, as the master explains in the records of ritual. The way of the gentleman may be compared to an embankment dam, bolstering those areas where ordinary people are deficient fangji. Blocking the overflow of desires by adhering to these social norms preserves psychological space to reflect and reform one's reactions. Descriptions of the early community depict Confucius creating a subculture in which ritual provided an alternate source of value, effectively training his disciples to opt out of conventional modes of exchange. In the Analects, when Confucius says he would instruct any person who presented him with a bundle of dried meat, he is highlighting how his standards of value derive from the sacrificial system, eschewing currency or luxury items. Gifts valuable in ordinary situations might be worth little by such standards. Even if a friend gave him a gift of a carriage and horses, if it was not dried meat, he did not bow. The Han period biographical materials in records of the historian describe how a high official of the state of Lu did not come to court for 3 days after the state of Qi made him a gift of female entertainers. When, additionally, the high official failed to properly offer gifts of sacrificial meats, Confucius departed Lu for the state of Wei 47, cf. Analects 18.4. Confucius repeatedly rejected conventional values of wealth and position, choosing instead to rely on ritual standards of value. In some ways, these stories are similar to ones in the late Warring States and Han period compilation master Zhou that explore the way that things that are conventionally belittled for their lack of utility are useful by an unconventional standard. However, here the standard that gives such objects currency is ritual importance rather than longevity, divorcing Confucius from conventional materialistic or hedonistic pursuits. This is a second way that ritual allows one to direct more effort into character formation. Once, when speaking of cultivating benevolence, Confucius explained how ritual value was connected to the ideal way of the gentleman, which should always take precedence over the pursuit of conventional values. Wealth and high social status are what others covet. If I cannot prosper by following the way, I will not dwell in them. Poverty and low social status are what others shun. If I cannot prosper by following the way, I will not avoid them. The argument that ritual performance has internal benefits underlies the ritual psychology laid out by Confucius, one that explains how performing ritual and music controls desires and sets the stage for further moral development. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. We love hearing from you, so drop a comment below with your thoughts or any questions you have. Your feedback helps us create better content for you. See you in the next video.